Drinkers demanded a finished product, but suckers would pay for nothing but a chance. That's why Binion considered liquor a mere stepping stone. Soon he saw something that offered more promise than traffic in forbidden whiskey. He saw lucky numbers. In about 1928, I opened up what they call a policy, he said. This propelled him into a wider and more adventurous criminal world, and the profits were sensational. The policy games were nothing more than simple lotteries in which players tried to pick 3 lucky digits. Each operator employed a team of runners, known as policy writers, who fanned out across town with sheets of numbers printed daily in red, green, and black. Players could bet a dime for a chance to win as much as $10. Winners were selected twice a day by the turning of the policy wheels. Some of the devices were actually spinning wheels, while others were small rotating barrels from which the winning numbers were plucked. Operators set the odds and controlled the payouts, and applied the fix as necessary. It was a common practice for them to survey the bets, determine which numbers would make the house the most money, and maneuver to select those. With no oversight, they ensured their own handsome returns. Policy operations stayed mobile to avoid raids and robberies. Not much equipment was needed. The wheel, a mimeograph to print tickets, and an adding machine to tally the proceeds. The game might spend time under bare light bulbs in a sweltering room of a fleabag hotel before decamping to the smoky rear parlors of a side street tavern. If operators got a tip that a raid was coming, they could pack up and be gone in minutes. Though Binion had entered the policy business with some apprehension, it didn't take long, about 12 hours, to see that he had strolled into a gold mine. I started with $56, he recalled. The first day I made $800. Even at its best, bootlegging never offered margins like that. A career was born. Policy games operated under a strict racial structure. The owners were white, and the customers were not. This represented a sizable base of potential gamblers. More than 30,000 blacks now lived in Dallas. Some of them were descendants of the slaves brought to Texas to work the cotton fields before the Civil War. Others had fled the exhausted timberlands and spent farms of East Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. They generally filled the low end of the employment scale, as porters, maids, elevator operators, dishwashers, and other common laborers. They took, in other words, jobs that whites would not do. The white citizenry of Dallas tended to view the policy business with condescension and ridicule. The policy game is mainly supported by Negroes, to whom a $10.50 return on a 10-cent investment is big money, the Dallas Morning News offered. The Daily Times-Herald took it further in a front-page story that began this way. Colored folks just gotta gamble. If they ain't got nothing else to bet on, they gonna bet on which way a bird fly when he leave off sittin'. So there you is. This, with a sheepish grin, constituted the most lucid answer the shambling Negro could give to a question which was asked 10 of his race as they walked past City Hall. The same story allowed the head of the Dallas Police Vice Squad to offer his own theory. Negroes just have to bet, Captain Max Dowdy said. Their gambling instincts seem to be much more thoroughly developed than those of whites. This ignored the fact that within a 1-mile radius of the police station, there were at least a dozen illegal dice rooms, patronized by whites. The captain's attitude was hardly unusual. From its earliest days, Dallas had looked north in its moneyed aspirations and west in its frontier temperament. But in its race relations, it turned to the Old South. The town recorded its first lynchings in 1860, when 3 slaves were hanged after a raging fire destroyed most of the business district. It didn't matter that no credible